You, along with ComScore and others, are widely known for your measurement offerings. Last summer, you launched your media program. What is that?
Quantcast, you're right, did start as a measurement company, and measurement was really the foundation to get to where we ultimately have the vision to take the company, which is to really connect buyers and sellers of media in a way that is defined around audiences. And people really ask a lot of times, well, what does that really mean? Well, what it means is, if you think about search, search is all about audiences. It's people typing in keywords and people building out audiences based on the keywords that those consumers are essentially typing into the box. In display, you don't have that. And so what we've done is we've developed a way for advertisers to define their own audiences by placing a pixel on their website, capturing what's unique about that person, and then finding more people like them across the web. And the media program essentially joins the two sides of the market. An advertiser builds an audience segment, and a publisher can then sell that exact audience segment to them. What it does is it reduces friction. It gives the advertiser the ability to have confidence in the audience that they're buying, and it gives the publisher the ability to speak in the advertiser's language so that they can specifically deliver the audiences that they're looking for. And this is a real departure from traditional media buying, which has been typically based on essentially indexes. I want to buy this property because this property index is high for my audience. Right. What we're doing is we're flipping that model on its head and being able to enable the advertiser to say, this is the audience I want to go find. Yeah. Here are the people, the users that we want to reach, and here's across the entire web where those people exist. And that is really, if you think about what's really revolutionary about Quantcast, is because we see both sides of that marketplace. We give the advertiser the ability to define the audience, and then because we have that measurement service in place, we can tell the advertiser exactly where those people are, so that they know who to go talk to now to buy their audiences. And they do that at an impression by an impression level versus just buying broadly on the sites in its totality.
Now, is this what differentiates you from your competition?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is really what puts Quantcast in a very unique position in the marketplace. There are people that do various different kind of portions of the Quantcast offering. So, for example, there are measurement companies out there that provide measurement data about properties. Problem with those is that they have a very, what I would say, antiquated way in which they provide measurement. They provide measurement using panels, right, which don't connect back to impression by impression level addressability. Because they are panel based, they're only a small component of the total audience out on the web. Our model goes a little bit deeper than that and gives you census level understanding of what people are doing. You have data companies that provide data, but those companies, when you provide just single source data, you typically have very small audiences because data is not available, in its entirety for every single person in the U.S. Right. And our model, which is all inference-based, gives you the ability to create predictions. It's a predictive model that enables you to push out and make predictions about everyone. And what that now does is it gives a marketer scale. And when marketers have scale, they have confidence. If you think about what's happened in television, marketers have confidence in buying audiences across television because there is a currency for audiences. They rely on Nielsen to do that. Digital is very different. It's an individual impression by impression addressability, right. And that really distances us from our competition because we do have this massive footprint. Over 10 million publishers carry our measurement pixels. That gives us comprehensive visibility of the internet. We have machine learning that creates those predictions about the consumers, and then give the advertisers and the publishers access to that on an anonymous basis so that they can then leverage that information to better target the advertising.
So you talked a little bit about the legacy or the historical way to measure audiences is panel-based. Are the new ways of measuring and defining target segments, is that becoming a little bit more valid, the new methodology?
There was a problem that needed to be solved, and the problem was the mass amount of the internet was becoming highly fragmented. And what needed to happen was a solution needed to come in that could measure the preponderance of the internet. Panel-based were really only able to handle the largest companies, and then at that level could not go very granularly within those. They could measure at a total site level. So when we extended down and now can measure individual web assets as small as 500 consumers, you now opened up an understanding of the internet that you never had before. So that was the start, right? And then what happened after that was really very simply, we were able to extend into marketers. Marketers could never get an understanding other than doing kind of fielded market research. They could never get a real-time understanding of who their consumers are. Now, an automotive company can understand precisely the audience that is engaging and configuring a particular car for them. And they can then take that and use that to build greater audiences at scale that they can target within their ad servers. So we're connecting essentially that measurement, planning, buying, and delivery process all into one single product. 18 months ago when I joined the company, we had no marketers that were using Quantcast. And even as early as 6 months ago, we hadn't launched yet our product for marketers. Within the last 6 months, we have hundreds of marketers now that are using the product, right? And these, when you look at them, when I say hundreds, I'm talking about the top 100, right, marketers that are using the product now. Everything from CPG to pharma to auto to retail, and really understanding those nuances about customers. You know, can you understand what's different about the people consuming a particular diaper product than the people consuming a particular liquid detergent? All of a sudden now, the CPG manufacturer has very granular information about their consumer. So we have now, every major agency is using our product to understand audiences.
Are you also helping them better understand or better use the data that they have in-house?
Yes, yeah, great question. So one unique piece about Quantcast is we always start with the marketer's data. So we always start with an event, right? And the marketer thinks of events in different ways. Someone might think of it as a click on an ad, but the majority of people think about it as transactional level, right? Who downloaded a brochure? Who configured a car? Who downloaded a coupon? And then we have some marketers that work with us and actually pass us data. So they pass us data anonymously out of their CRM database, and now they can get really interesting metrics, like what was the shopping cart like for this particular consumer, right? Show me what's the audience profile of someone who purchases $500 versus someone who purchases $100. Because what people are looking for is we all know there's a very sharp distribution curve when you look at consumption patterns. There's a small amount of people that are highly profitable for companies, and they want to find and replicate and find more people, right, that are in that highly profitable customer segment. So we do allow marketers to bring in their own data, leverage that then against the entire data set that we have. You know, that data set then enables them to really create massive extension of audiences, but only the audiences that matter, only those audiences that are the most profitable for them.
Right. Should having to pay to count your traffic property be illegal?
Illegal, that's a strong term. I think at Quantcast we view that markets are efficient, right? We've announced a solution into the marketplace that does provide free data for everyone, right? You can come in on a self-service basis and use that. So we think that over time, right, data is going to become something that is ubiquitous. We believe that's important to have out in the marketplace so that people can make better decisions. We then take the approach that we will then charge for the use of that data when you actually want to action and take an action with it. Think of it very similar to a stock market. Data is free in the stock market. You can go find a stock quote pretty much from any website, but when you want to take action to actually purchase a stock, or you want to take action to engage in some sort of transaction, you pay for the right to do that. And so we think of that similarly in terms of our business, right? We provide data out to the market because that makes a more intelligent market, creates a more efficient market, and then we charge for the transaction level activity that happens. And you know, will our competitors follow suit? I don't know. You know, I think it'll be difficult.
They might have to.
Right. I think it's one of those things that the market will tell us. You know, whether our model is the one that ultimately prevails. But I think, you know, that's the great thing about competition is that everyone can put out their offering, and the market will judge what's the best offering, you know, for them.